All right. Well, I'd like to welcome everyone today to the Akron Rotary Club meeting. Today is the 1st of February, and goodbye January after everything that you gave us. But at this time, I'd like to invite David Hall to come and share the invocation with us.
So if you'd pray with me. Dear Lord, we pray for you to help parents understand the value of their children's education. May parents and other family members surround children with the support and encouragement to become all who you desire them to be. We also pray for you to be with teachers everywhere who, along with parents, are responsible for our children's education. Put your righteousness in their hearts and your words on their lips to share with the children in their daily care. May classrooms not only fill students with knowledge, but also wisdom, discernment, and integrity. Amen.
Thank you, David. A very timely prayer, especially with all the weight that our teachers and administrators have been carrying the last couple of years with COVID. So thank you so much. And I'm going to stand, and if anybody else would like to stand, or if you want to sit, feel free, but we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, well, thank you. And now our four-way test. And by the way, my wife is a business person, and she absolutely adores our four-way test. She says it really covers it all. So if you join me, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? All right, David, back to you as far as our greeter today. And if we have any visitors joining us, besides Miss Lisa Gray.
Yeah, I think other than our speaker, I do not see any other guests. And unless someone has someone with them in the room, I think there is nobody else. Anybody have anybody with them? If not, I think that's it. Just all members today, Steve. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Do we have any Rotary ambassadors over the last week?
I don't. Steve, I was asked to be a facilitator on Saturday for the Zoom President-elect's training. So that was different for me and interesting. So.
Excellent. Thank you, Sandy. Okay. Before we would even entertain Happy Dollars, I want to talk about other announcements. And I think we have a pretty important one that's coming up here on Saturday. And Miss Mella, I did see you out there. There you are. Can you share with us what just is going to be happening on this Saturday, February the 5th?
Absolutely, happy to. And I know Cindy Kane's on here too, our co-chair, so she can chime in too. We're excited. Saturday is the 32nd Chile Open Golf Classic. So we're really excited. We've been very busy. The committee's been very busy. I can't thank enough most of our Rotarians, and a lot of you are on this call today, for supporting the event, whether it's sponsorships, raffle tickets, auction items, bottle of booze, bottle of wine, volunteering. So we truly, it takes a village, and it takes this Rotary, our Akron Rotary community, to make this event happen. So we are preparing, looking forward to the snow, but hope it's not too bad, but we're preparing for all that. We have people on standby to help us out at the event to kind of clear out Hale Farm for us. But Friday, we have volunteers coming out. You hopefully as Rotarians received the volunteer sign up for the event. Some of you have been signing up. We still have open positions. So if you're planning to come out or you want to come out, please do so. Please sign up, because we could use a lot of help at the Chile Open. Raffle tickets, I don't know that David's on here, so I don't want to steal
He is, yeah.
So I'll let him report that. Don't want to steal his thunder. And So everybody, we put the silent auction out there a little bit, just a teaser. There's so much more that we'll be putting out there that generally, hopefully will bring in $20,000 for the event. So I see Katie's already started bidding on some things. So once we have, we'll start sending that out. Lisa Gray, I see you said, if you want to send me your cell phone number, if you want to just message me personally, it's Mela Kastner on here. I'll make sure you get added. So Cindy, do you want to add anything?
I'm just very excited to see this all come together. Everybody has worked so hard. And if I could defer my minute to Jim Redmond, because there's no bigger cheerleader. Jim Redmond, do you have anything to say?
I was just so excited that Grover was just outside my window in Fairlawn taping social media with Elizabeth. This never stops. This is amazing.
Nice.
She was in the parking lot on 33 Merce. So that was exciting. But I was just going to type into everybody, don't miss the fun Friday. Setting up some of America's best golf courses is a privilege denied to many. Come on out Friday.
Lisa, I'm going to tell you real quickly. So our Chili Open is a winter golf out at Hale Farm and Village, but all the proceeds go to benefit the Rotary Camp for Children with Special Needs, which is the #1 service project of our club. And it originally started as a polio camp for children with polio, and over the years has morphed into this amazing place where I think the saying is there's no disabilities, only abilities. So just a little, I'll send you a little something about it later.
Thanks.
I love that.
Yeah, thank you. And Jim Redmond was on the radio this morning with George Murphy on, I heard them on WAKR being interviewed. So great job, guys. And you'll be hearing more radio promotions, and the billboard, electronic billboards are out there. So, and social media is happening. So, and we do have all the COVID protocols in place that the Akron Rotary Club board has reviewed and approved, and so has the camp board. So we are all good to go.
David
And
Miller.
Yeah, I'll speak real quick to raffle tickets. So first of all, I have a thank you, an apology, and an ask. So I'll make it very quick. So my thank you is to every single one of you that have sold, pushed, promoted, bartered, whatever you want to call it, raffle tickets and gotten your money into Mela and Amanda at the camp. But we greatly appreciate that. My apology is for all of the emails I've sent through Club Runner, either asking you to sell tickets or begging you to sell tickets. I think the worst thing Cheryl could have ever done is taught me how to use Club Runner, because it's very easy to get 150 of you in one email. So that was my apology. And my ask is to just continue to push these raffle tickets. We are at a little over, as of Monday, some unofficial count, but a little over $30,000. Obviously, our goal is $60,000 in raffle ticket sales. We need $40,000 for the car so that we don't have to, pay for that car through a Vanderveer. So we know that a lot are still going to come in over the next couple of days. We know that we're going to sell a lot day of at the event. So if you're there, if you're bringing friends, if you're not going to be there, just continue to sell and push and distribute raffle tickets. That's what we need. So we're halfway through our goal, but we are confident that we're going to succeed that. So thank you.
We are. And David, I just got back to the office from Vanderveer. So I saw the car, it's all wrapped.
Awesome.
Signed my life away on all the paperwork for the car. They are going to deliver the car to Hale Farm on Friday for us. And so we're really excited. The Vanderveers are very excited. A lot of them were in the showroom. So it was nice to see them and see their enthusiasm and support for us. Also, last reminder, this evening, 4 to 5 p.m., we have collection or drop-off sites for any of you who might not be coming out to the event, but you have your raffle ticket money, you have items you want to give for the auction, or door prizes, or bottles of liquor or wine. 4 to 5, Akron Rotary Camp is one site. World Elite out in Talmadge, Wanda's facility. Cindy Kane is going to be there for us. And right at the Hilton Akron Fairlawn, we'll be out front there. So don't miss that opportunity if you have some items for us. Thanks, Steve.
Hey, Mela, Just to be clear, it's 4 to 5 because an email just came out saying it's 5 to 6. So it's 4 to 5.
It is, I'm sorry, I didn't see my email. So it's 5 to 6 tonight? 5 to 6, I'm sorry. You're on mute. Cindy?
We'll have to talk about that for my event. I had 4 to 5, Mela.
Okay, all right.
And one last question, Miss Miller. What time on Saturday do the doors open?
So the doors open at 9 a.m.
Okay.
A little bit before 9. The event starts at 9 a.m. and it goes to about 2:30.
Okay.
Golfers start teeing off at 9 a.m. So people start showing up about 8:30. And then our last tee off time is about 1:30. The program is at 2 o'clock where we'll be thanking all our sponsors. We'll be pulling Jerry Vanderveer will be there to pull the raffle ticket. Winners don't have to be present. And we'll be honoring Dan Riemenschneider, our ambassador of service.
Thank you. Thank you. So with that, and what a spectacular team. You guys are amazing. And just having had the opportunity to sit in virtually on a couple of your meetings, it's a wonderful sight to see. And so thank you for all that you've been doing. And with that, let's step into Happy Dollars. And I wanted to see who is happy today. Mr. Andrew Grover.
I have 6 happy dollars, and I'm actually going to the camp to drop off my raffle ticket money. So I'm excited to see the camp today. And I'm just proud of the legend, Jim Redmond. He doesn't get the props he deserves every day like he should. He is just brilliant. And I love the analogy you just gave me that about the tree. And Jim Redmond, you are one of my Rotarian heroes. So props to you. And I'm so proud of the whole Chili Open committee. It's been an honor to be a part of it. And I'm excited for the event on Saturday. It's going to be a blast.
Okay. Thank you, Grover. Anybody else who is happy today? I'm trying to catch the screen. David Hall.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, so I'm $5 happy. Looking forward to this weekend, honoring Dan and also the golf. It should be a great event. It's one of my favorite events of the year. Secondly, I would like to ask everybody to consider signing up for being a greeter.
Okay, well, thank you, David. David, you're muted.
Oh, thank you. Very good. I got it.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
And I see Dan O'Connell.
Just want to unmute there. Okay. Hey, I just wanted to say I'll be at the beer truck again like I usually am, but it's especially good that I can go because my wife was very ill until just a couple of days ago with COVID, even though she was fully vaccinated. So I'm breathing a sigh of relief about that, and I'll be glad to go to the beer truck again. And I go way back to the first Chili Open, so it's really nostalgia for me. Thank you.
Hey, Dan, the vote was 1 vote shy. I know they're going to have the beer truck, but it was 1 vote shy of having the Irish whiskey truck. So maybe next year.
Okay.
Is anybody else happy today?
Hey, Steve, I just wanted to finish real quick. I was asking if everybody would consider going online or giving me a call to sign up to be greeter or invocator. We have a need for the next couple of months, and it's really easy. I send out emails ahead of time to help give you some examples for invocation, and greeters just recognizing guests and helping with questions at the end with the speaker. So if you would consider, if you can't find it online, just give me a call and I can help you sign up. Thank you.
No, thank you, David. And let me say, having participated in that on numerous occasions in the past years, it's not really that hard, and it's a great opportunity for everyone to get to know each of you a little bit better. And so David does a fantastic job with that. And very often he is stepping in to fulfill that role. And so I'd like to at least encourage each of you to step up maybe once a year, and a few of you do it quite often, and thank you. But those of you who have never participated, I want to just invite you to step in and to help out and be an invocator. So thank you, David. Anybody else that is happy today? Mr. Hugh, and unmute yourself as you come in. There you are.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I'm happy for looking forward to the Chili Open. I have been getting gift certificates from restaurants, almost maybe $1,000 worth for the auction, as well as Karen and I are looking forward to pouring beer this Saturday. So it's we're looking, of course, we're going to get a lot of snow, but that'll just mean more beer.
All right. Well, thank you. Is anyone else happy?
Steve?
Yes.
Hi, Jacinto here. I'm happy.
Hi, Jacinto.
Hi, I'll give 10 happy dollars. For first, my son, Manny, has been assigned his host country for the Rotary Youth Exchange, and he got his first choice of South Korea. So we're very excited. Also, the reality of it is starting to set in, but it looks like, barring COVID, it's going to happen here for 2022-23. So that's exciting for our family. And then I want to give a plug, a shameless plug, that one of the items on the auction will be a Cuban feast prepared by one of the few Cuban chefs in the Akron area. And so I'd encourage you to sign up for that auction item. Last year, it seemed to have been an item of interest. So I hope that we can use that opportunity to get some funds for the camp.
Well, thank you, and congratulations to your son. That's fabulous, because I know that you had shared with me before that he was really hoping to get to be able to go to South Korea. So that is just outstanding. So good for him.
Yep.
Anybody else that is happy before I bring us home on that? Let me see. Okay. Well, I have 5 happy dollars, and my happy dollars are for David Hall, who I mentioned just a couple of minutes ago. David, you are an incredible blessing to the club, and you work and you work and you work and you work. And so thank you for all that you do. And additionally, I just want to say once again, thank you to this Chili Open team. You do it year in, you do it year out, and you guys are amazing. And Jim Redmond, kudos to you, because you have been carrying the torch for so many years, and your love for the camp, your love for the children, just as exemplary. So thank you. Okay, now additionally,
Steve,
there are a couple. Yes.
If I can interrupt just one second, I just want to recognize we have one guest that has entered a little bit late, but Katie Miller's husband has joined us as a guest, Tim Miller. So welcome to Tim Miller.
Tim, you have anything you want to share?
Well, I'm good. Thanks for the invite. I'm looking forward to listening to our speaker.
Well, it's good to have you. We know that you've been spending a lot of time down in Columbus, and we so appreciate all the work that you're doing. And going from Akron to Columbus, I think is going to allow you to share some of the good stuff that's going on here in our city. So thanks for all that you do. So a couple other announcements before I introduce our speaker today. And I just wanted to bring up some of the membership anniversaries. I, in the early part of January, mentioned half of you, but January seems to be a very, very big month for our club. And there's a few others. Wanda Whipke has 6 years of membership. Pat O'Neill, 7 years. Rima Muakasa, 3 years. Jeff Sheeks, 4 years. Rich Brandenburg, 5. Ryan McCauley is a 1-year Rotarian. And then in the month of February, Tim Del Medico. He must have joined when he was in high school, 33 years. So congratulations, Tim. Tom Knauer has 7 years. Mike Wino has 18. So congratulations to all you folks and for your dedication to our club. Now, one other thing I wanted to share is that we've been introducing and talking about some of our past presidents. And thank you to Jack Herrig for putting together little bios on some of our past leaders. Today, I want to talk just briefly about Norman Paul Auburn. And that should be a name that's somewhat familiar to anybody who's been around Akron for a while, and his involvement at the University of Akron. Believe it or not, he lived to be 98 years old, and he was the president in 1958, 1959. He was born in Cincinnati, a city that we've been hearing a lot about, especially with the way that those Bengals have been playing. So congratulations to them. And he was named the president of the University of Akron in 1951. And for 20 years, he stimulated the physical and academic growth of the university. Additionally, by the way, his son Mark Auburn became a president for our club a few years afterwards. But Dr. Auburn served as a volunteer leader in several national higher education and charitable associations and foundations. He was particularly active in Rotary because he loved Rotary. And his local service earned him the Bert A. Polsky Humanitarian Award from the Akron Community Foundation in 1997. So that is your history moment regarding our past presidents. And oh, by the way, other important history, 1959, I was 4. So here we go. It's a pleasure for me to introduce to you today Lisa Gray. And Lisa is the founding president of Ohio Excels. Her career has been dedicated to improving the educational outcomes of all of Ohio's students. Prior to leading Ohio Excels, she had her own consulting practice specializing in public policy development, government relations, advocacy, strategic planning, and project management with an emphasis on public education. She also served as the deputy executive assistant to the Columbus Mayor, Greg Lashutka, and she's been involved in government in many different positions. On the personal side, and we were talking about this before we started the meeting today, she has 4 sons, and she spends her free time with family, attending athletic events, and she's an avid reader. So with that little intro, Lisa, it's a pleasure to have you, and we look forward to hearing what you have to share.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here with all of you today. I am going to share my screen and just kind of take you through a PowerPoint. I'm not going to read it to you, so I will just kind of talk through it. I am completely comfortable being interrupted as we go through the PowerPoint. If you have questions, I'm not sure what your protocol usually is. If you want me to go through the whole presentation, or I'd really prefer this to be more conversational. But I'm okay with whatever your protocols are on that.
Normally what we do is at the end, we leave a time for questions.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, great. Well, I am going to attempt to share my screen. It worked earlier, so it probably won't work now, but let me see if I can. All right, can you see it? Well, first of all, I want to say to Jacinto, my brother was a Rotary exchange student in 1983 and actually went to South Africa. So he has made long term friendships and still stays in touch with the families that he stayed with in South Africa. So I hope your son has a wonderful time in South Korea. And I know that he will, if his experience is anything like my brother's, it will be life-changing. So congratulations to you, and what a great opportunity for your son.
Thanks.
I'm going to just kind of go through these slides pretty quickly because I'd rather have an opportunity for us to all talk. But Ohio Excels is an education organization that was created by leaders of the business community. And it really was created to ensure that the business community's voice was more consistently and deeply engaging at the state level around education and workforce policy. So the majority of the work that we do really happens at the state level in terms of state policy. And so Tim Miller, who's on the call, is obviously a state board of education member. Tim and I and others from the state board have been meeting over the last probably 8 to 10 months. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. But our goal is really to make sure that as stakeholders are brought to the table for discussions around education and workforce policy, that the voice of the business community is there and represented. We have a number of principles around our work: equity, expecting academic excellence. We are big believers that if students are struggling to meet academic expectations, that the response should not be to lower the expectations, but it should be to provide the interventions and supports to get them where they need to be able to be successful in life, whatever their path is. It's a deep focus on what is best for students. And I distinguish that between sort of what is the, as opposed to a focus on the system. We believe in using data. We don't think data lies. We know that when we look at some of the data, we can identify those schools and those districts that need to be improving, and we can identify those schools and districts that are really doing well and hold those up as examples of what other schools or districts could be doing. Around policy implementation, I think we often get the policies right, and we fail on implementation. So how do we work not only at the state level, but with business leaders across the state around the implementation of critical policies at the local level? And then when you think about the funding of our schools, how do we coordinate those investments? And I really think that they are investments in our students' futures and in the future economy and well-being of our state. How do we coordinate those investments to ensure that we're getting the best outcomes for our students? We do support quality choices for students and families. We do not believe a one-size-fits-all approach works for every student. But I think what I would emphasize in that is quality. When choice was introduced here in Ohio, the intent of that was not for students and families to have equally poor choices. It was to have better choices. And we've done a lot to improve the quality of some of our charter schools and other choice options. But just like we have with our traditional public schools, we have some work to do to continue that improvement. And then how do we celebrate and identify our successes and build on those going forward? So we were created about 3.5 years ago. There were a number of business leaders that came together at that time, and we're sort of lamenting the fact that we were not seeing the results that we had hoped for in terms of educational improvement. And so Pat Teaberry, who's a former congressman, is currently the president of the Ohio Business Roundtable, which is the statewide CEO organization. Joe Roman, who was the former president and CEO of the Cleveland Partnership, Alex Fisher with the Columbus Partnership, and Gary Lindgren with the Cincinnati Partnership came together and said, we'd really like to create a statewide advocacy organization that can have a seat at the table, can be engaging with our statewide policymakers, the governor's office, our Ohio General Assembly, our state board, and others, to ensure that we are pulling the right levers and making the right investments on behalf of kids and families. So this is our board. You will note that there is nobody from the Akron area on this, and I'm going to make a shameful request to send us some names. We reached out when we were first getting the board up and going and made some overtures to some business leaders in Akron at the time. They were not ready to jump on board. I think we've proven over the last few years that this is an organization that has a seat at the table and a critical voice. We sort of stopped our board recruitment in the midst of the pandemic because we knew that business leaders for a while there were pretty singularly focused on managing their businesses and organizations. Our meeting in February, actually part of the conversation is going to be, how do we identify other business leaders from across the state in areas of the state and in industry sectors that are not represented. And so Akron is an area, Southeast Ohio is an area, the Toledo area. So if you have any suggestions of folks that one, have sort of a deep and abiding passion around education and improving our the outcomes for students, and would have the time and the interest in serving on a board, we would love to have some recommendations. You know your business community far better than I would know them, or frankly, some of the members that are on our board. So would love some suggestions there. This board really helps us set our policy and advocacy agenda. And so we meet every other month. It is, we think, a very impactful partnership. The way that this organization was thought about when it was first started was, that the business community wanted to have some folks really paying attention to these education issues, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, could really get into the weeds and bring the business perspective to the table. And so that's what we do on behalf of the business community. So in addition to those folks that are on our board, we also work very closely with what we refer to as the Big Six. The Big Six are the largest statewide business organizations in Ohio. You see them represented here. Tim Miller, part of the reason we got connected with Tim is because he is a member of NFIB. And so we work closely with NFIB, the Farm Bureau, the Ohio Chamber, the manufacturers, and the retail merchants. And so when we are advocating at the State House and when we are talking to policymakers.
It looks like from what I'm seeing here, actually, that you did get a new account number, and I can't see the whole thing because they exit out. But if you go to those,
it's always Connor. It's okay.
I think it's
just
Connor.
Okay. Okay. You can see who we partner with, and when we, am I muted?
No.
Okay. We represent their voices at the State House as well. So we meet with them monthly to make sure that we are keeping them informed and they're informing us on issues that they care about. So in terms of the education and advocacy, this is just last year. We had 240, formal meetings. This doesn't count, sort of running into legislators or quick telephone calls with our senators, our representatives, the governor's office, and state boards. The primary state board that we work with is the State Board of Education, which I've got to give kudos to Tim. Tim has been a really strong and thoughtful leader on the state board, and has really worked hard to connect the state board with the business community. He has brought us together with educators out across the state, including Ryan Pendleton, who is the treasurer of Akron Schools. I think Tim really wants to build, as do we, strong relationships in the education community so that we can understand one another's priorities, our challenges, and I won't speak for Tim, but for us, that has been a great dialogue to date. We testify pretty frequently before the legislature on critical education issues in the early childhood, K-12, and higher ed space. So we are not just focused on K-12. We have a strong commitment to early learning, especially for those students that are coming in behind the 8 ball. We know that there are 60% of kids coming into kindergarten, that's 60, are not kindergarten ready. So what are we doing as a state and local communities to ensure that our 3 and 4-year-olds are getting the education and supports that they need so that they are entering kindergarten ready to learn? We are also very interested in the connection between high school and then what comes after high school. So when we look at the jobs and we look at the economy and we look at what it is going to require for students to earn a family sustaining wage, almost everybody is going to need something beyond high school, whether that is an industry recognized credential, a career pathway, a 2-year degree, a 4-year degree, going into the military. And so we are very focused on those issues as well. Ohio is a state that is aging. We are looking at our population and we know that not enough of Ohioans ages 24 and older have some sort of post-secondary degree or credential. And so that's an area that we are very focused on in working with the business community and higher ed. And so that is an area that we focus on as well. So, I've touched on a few of these things, but, as we look out at the horizon and we look at the next year or two, you all know that we are in the middle of an election cycle. We've been fighting as a state around redistricting. We've got a governor that's up for election. We have all of our House members up for election and a third of our Senate. So coming into the primaries in May, lots happening. And then immediately in 2023, whoever is elected governor, whoever will have to propose the 2023 state budget. So we are preparing ourselves and our advocacy to go into that budget timeframe. So, I mentioned early childhood. We are urgently concerned about how do we help kids recover the learning loss from the pandemic, especially in early literacy. There are some really daunting numbers and data about the number of students that are not reading at grade level. for those students that were behind before the pandemic, it is even worse for those students now. The other issue that, we've been working on, and this is part of the conversations that we've been having with Ryan Pendleton and Tim and others, is around the school funding formula. The dollars to go into student wellness and supports. I was talking with Terry before everybody joined the call. We know that the mental health challenges that our students and frankly our teachers and families are facing are growing, and we need to be able to attend to those non-academic needs of students, or they're not going to be able to perform in the classroom. There are some headwinds around that, given some of the politics that we can talk about. But you'll also see, we believe in transparency and accountability. We work very closely with other members of the education community. A number of the districts, we worked with the Gifted Association, we worked with the Alliance for High Quality Schools on reforming school and district report cards. We are very supportive of the work that is currently happening around computer science and STEM education. We believe we need more of that in our schools, not less. And then, as I talked about attainment and college enrollment and re-enrollment, we are seeing our numbers going down in terms of the number of students that are either enrolling in college or re-enrolling after the pandemic. That is a huge problem for Ohio when we think about our workforce. We are also seeing, disproportionately, it is men and men of color who are not re-enrolling. And so we're going to be doing some work to better understand what those barriers and challenges are and what we might be able to do as a state. And then something we've been working really closely with the business community on. Many of you know that every district in the state of Ohio is required to have a business advisory council. And the purpose of those business advisory councils is really for the local business community to be engaging with the educators in their local schools and districts about the local economy. What are the jobs that are going to be coming available? What are the knowledge and skills that students need to have to successfully succeed in those jobs? What is the knowledge and skills and the training required? How do we do more around work-based learning and internships so that students are really getting a better idea of some of these careers, perhaps before they go on to college and decide at the end of 2 years or 4 years, that's really not what I want to do. And then the last thing on this list is we do a conference every year with the Governor's Office of Workforce Transformation. This year it will be May 4th, knock on wood, it will be in person instead of online. And that conference in the past has attracted between 600 and 800 leaders in the education and business community, really to talk about that intersection of workforce and education and what can we do to strengthen those connections. So accomplishments, this is just, a list of some of the things that we've been working on the last couple of years where we've had success. We were one of the first things that we did out of the gate when we were first formed in 2018 was candidly, and this, I will say this was before Tim was on the state board, so this does not reflect on him, but we pushed back on what the State Board of Education was proposing around lowering what we thought was lowering graduation requirements for students. And, this goes back to the comment I made a little earlier, which is if kids are not meeting the bar and the standards that have been set by educators, and I remind people of that the graduation requirements were not set by the governor or the legislature or the business community. The graduation requirements were set based on what educators said kids should know and be able to do when they're leaving high school. And our pushback was no, let's not lower the requirements. Let's figure out a way to help these kids actually attain the knowledge and skills that they need. We opened up some alternative pathways for students to demonstrate that they were ready to graduate around some career opportunities, the military, and other things, so that it wasn't just about going to college. But we think we have to be really honest with kids and families and educators. As a mother of 4 boys, I would have wanted that message to be delivered to me while my students were still in the K-12 system, not after they had graduated and were not able to find a job or go on to any sort of post-high school education or training. And then we also worked on the digital divide. We saw very clearly, especially in some of our urban and rural areas, that going online during the pandemic it hit certain populations of students and families in certain areas of the state very differently than it did others. And so we are going to continue to push on this, because we know that we are going to have more disruptions in the future, whether it's COVID or something else. And we need to make sure that we are planning for that. So, another big part of our work, in addition to working with our policy leaders, is really to communicate not just our successes, but our policy points of view. So we are often working with reporters to share the business community's perspective on education issues. So we've been in 50 news stories. We write op-eds and talk with where the newspapers still have editorial boards, and that is shrinking, working with editorial boards and others to get the messages out about how our schools are doing, and most importantly, how they can improve, and what is the role of the business community in being a partner. I think, if I were reflecting on the history of the business community, I think for a long time, the business community sort of stood on the sidelines and criticized. And we are much more interested in being honest and fair and accurate, but more importantly, being a partner. It is going to take all of us to prepare our students. Given the demographics in Ohio, there is no longer a group that it's okay to leave behind. We have to be firing on all cylinders, working with all students and making sure that they are prepared for success. One of Tim's colleagues on the state board says this a lot, and I agree with her. It is much easier to develop strong children than to repair broken men. And so, it's either a pay me now or pay me later. And, we are all in on, the pay me now, support me now, and getting these kids ready. But honestly, that isn't going to happen without people like you engaging in your local community. I got on your website a little bit earlier. I love the camp that you're doing for students with disabilities, the scholarships that you're offering, other ways that you are engaging with the education community. And if we're not all sort of rowing in the same direction on behalf of kids, there are going to be things that we disagree on. But I think, what we find when we sit down with our education colleagues, whether or not that's the superintendents or the teachers unions, the principals, state board members, we agree on about 80 to 85%, if not more. We all want better for kids. I think where sometimes we disagree is the best way to get kids to where they need to be. But we are open to listening and partnering. I think one of the things that we value very much at Ohio Excels is partnerships and relationship building. Nobody can get this done by themselves. And so we may not agree with you on, issue A, but if we can agree with you on issue B and work together to move the needle on that for kids and families, we're going to do that. So I really appreciate the time that you gave me to share a little bit about Ohio Excels. We're a relatively new organization. But sort of patting ourselves on the back, I think we've established pretty quickly a spot at the table, and I know that is frankly less about me and more about who our board is and our affiliation with the business community. It is a sort of powerful 1-2. I know we're not supposed to use sports analogies anymore, but I'm old enough that it's hard for me. I haven't come up with another analogy. I would say Ohio excels in working with policy makers. A lot of times, we get the ball into the end zone on our own, but sometimes we get stopped at the 5-yard line. And we reach out to our partners in the business community and their relationships with policymakers and stakeholders and others allow us to sort of punch the ball into the end zone. And so that is how we will continue to work. One group I did not mention that we work very closely with that I'm sure you all are aware of is the Summit Education Initiative. So work closely with Matt Devers and his team, worked very closely with Laura DeCola. She is since just recently leaving Summit Education Initiative and doing some work with University of Chicago, but we'll continue to work with her. So Akron's voice is at the table in our work in a lot of different ways, but happy to expand that, as I said, and build partnerships and relationships. So I will stop there. I know that was a lot of talking. I think Tim will tell you, or anybody that knows me will tell you that talking is not difficult for me. So I'm going to stop there and let you all do a little talking now.
Thank you very much, Lisa. This is David. I'm going to try and help facilitate some of the questions. If you have questions, if you can type them into the chat or just raise your hand here if we can get going. Lisa, great presentation. Really appreciate it. As a husband to a kindergarten teacher here in Akron, I totally agree that it's the kids coming into kindergarten have been less and less prepared, and so whatever we could do to help that would make a big difference in their lives. So
I was a former kindergarten teacher, so
there you go.
Love those little ones.
Yeah. So, all right. Don't see any questions in the chat. Anybody have a question they want to out? Just raise your hand.
I'll just say, when I don't see a lot of questions in the chat, that usually means the speaker covered everything really, really well.
She did an excellent job. Steve Bowie does actually have a question. Steve?
Hey, Lisa, I really like the reference you made to helping children versus repairing broken men and women. Can you restate that? What exactly you said?
Yeah, it's a very famous quote. And Tim, you may know who it is. It might be from Frederick Douglass, actually. It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. And I would add woman, but I don't think that was part of the original quote.
Fabulous.
Anybody else with a question? I think we're all very impressed with what you're doing, Lisa, and not an easy task. So admire your efforts and appreciate your efforts.
I'll say one of the benefits of Tim being on the state school board was all the different people that I get to hear about and the different things that are happening on levels that I had no idea that was happening. I've been involved in education in Akron forever, but had no idea that this was happening on such a bigger scale. Is there anything like this more like nationally, or is this something that's unique to Ohio?
There are a few states that have organizations that represent the business community. Colorado Succeeds is one of them. There's a partnership in Missouri and Kansas. I always feel bad for them because they do both states. I can't even imagine trying to cover two states. I have enough trouble following what our legislators are doing in Ohio. Georgia has the Georgia Partnership that does this, but it's more unique. There are probably less states that have this kind of partnership than the majority of states.
So also, Lisa, where is home for you currently? And in light of this incredibly broad vision and all that you're involved with, how many hours are you working a week?
So I am here in the Columbus area, and it depends on the day. When the legislature is in session, we work way more than we do when they're not. And I can tell you that, and Tim, please don't share this with our friends in the legislature. We're always happy when they go home.
Good for you. Thank you.
Yeah. So.
I think Tim has his hand up.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, Lisa, thank you very much for coming to Akron virtually today. I just want to briefly state, when I was first researching and started lobbying the governor to appoint me to the state school board, first friend I reached out to in Columbus was Roger Geiger from the NFIB. Roger spoke to the Rotary, I don't know, in the last couple of months anyways. And NFIB stands for National Federation of Independent Business. I've been on their board for about 20 years now, but the first person Roger said I needed to talk to was Lisa Gray. And I think it's important to note that to everybody here, when she says, if you want to build relationships and if you have ideas for somebody from the Akron area that might be a good fit for her board, please take her at her word for that. Been on the state board for a year, and Katie will back me up on this. I come home from some of the state board meetings, like, it's just, the day-to-day part is just sort of agonizing. But then last month, as an example, I stayed an extra day, had a meeting with Lisa and some people from the Fair School Funding group, along with Pat T-Berry, Roger Geiger, and others. And coming away from that meeting, it energized me that yes, there's work to be done in Columbus. So that's the silver lining of going down there, doing the day-to-day, but also trying to change things like business advisory councils. And Lisa, I've got a draft email that's going to be coming your way regarding that and doing a resolution. Great. But anyways, I'll leave it at that. Thanks, Lisa.
Great. Well, thank you, Tim.
So Tim comes home happy and very calm and mellow from all of these 16-hour meetings with nothing negative to say ever. It's all very sunshine and roses over here.
Yeah. So if you ever think you're frustrated, spend a day watching the state board and some of those discussions, and you'll wonder why we're struggling to get kids to where they need to be. We've got to focus on what the kids need and, make sure that we deliver it.
Yeah. And Tim, thank you for introducing us to Lisa. And we love the work that you're involved in. And may your tribe increase tenfold, because you're right on when you are sharing about the needs that exist. And God knows with what's happened over these last couple of years with COVID, that everything that you're talking about gets raised to a whole nother level, as it were, as far as importance goes. But thank you so much. And maybe we'll have you back.
I would love to come back. Yeah, I would love to.
Yeah, and it sounds like you and Tim and others are beginning to make some headway. And yeah, I'm reminded of something that my wife had shared, and it comes out of the realm of gardening. And there's a motto that goes like this: in the first year, you weep. The second year, you creep. And the third year, you leap. And so you're doing all the hard work of the weeping and the creeping, but eventually there is going to come a time of leaping. So thank you to you and your board, and to Tim and all of the great work that's going on there. And we look forward to seeing our state move forward. And to our club members, anybody that comes to your mind that would actually be a very good fit for this board, please reach out to Miss Lisa so we can have some good quality representation of what's going on here in Akron. So thank you again for coming. Thank you for sharing. God bless you with those sons. And what are their ages, if I may ask?
My oldest is going to be 30. I don't think I'm old enough to have a 30-year-old, but apparently I am. And then we have a 26-year-old and two 24-year-olds.
Congratulations. And maybe those grandbabies will be coming in the near future. So.
I don't think so.
No, nobody's married yet.
No one's married now. So well, that's okay.
Thank you again. And at this time, I would just like to officially bring our meeting to a close. And just remember our wonderful chili open here on Saturday. And if you have anything to drop off, I think she said Talmadge. She also said at the camp and then at the Hilton. So everybody have a good rest of your week and stay safe with the snow coming.